live anytime now. All right, there we are. We are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Middled Out, the coronavirus edition.
Hmm.
A little bit has happened in this in the area since the last time we talked. I'm Tom,
I'm Ernie.
and yeah, so we'll just jump into coronavirus and the mass hysteria and uh, just the situation that we're in right now.
So school
Yep,
for the kids
yep,
got an additional month
yep.
cancellation.
Yep. So we're until the end of April, basically.
Yeah.
I've heard tell in the public school system that they may, if it gets worse before, say, the middle of April and it doesn't start to subside, they may just cancel the rest of the year. California, a lot of California school districts have already canceled the rest of the year.
Yeah, they've already just made that call.
Yeah. San Francisco's on lockdown.
How about what's going on in Sacramento?
I don't know what's
Hmm,
happening there.
I don't know. I've heard tale that the National Guard has been called in
Oh, really?
to just kind of calm things down,
Oh, I'm
but
not familiar with what's going on there.
I'm not either. I was hoping maybe you were.
No, I haven't looked into a ton of stuff. I know that they've got a bunch of medical teams they're trying to set up, kind of temporary hospital situations. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I'm just looking at our stuff. I'm not terribly worried. I mean, I do have asthma, and that would be a problem with it. I talked to my mom night before last. She was a heavy smoker, still is, so she has emphysema or COPD, as they call it now.
Hmm.
And yeah, she lives up in Portland, so fortunately she doesn't go out a ton.
That's good.
Yeah,
So,
she would not survive it. I mean, I there's hardly a world where she would survive it.
well, as far as like you and I go, the numbers out of Italy, which is a population kind of like ours as
Yeah.
far as health and everything. Um,
Well, it's a much
it's
older. There's a lot of older people in Italy.
there's a lot of older people here,
That's true. That's true.
and I was just saying they're not in the best physical condition
Mm.
like Americans, and it seems like man, it's the 80 and 90 year olds that are really having an issue with
It
this.
is, but so far in the U.S., I guess the youngest person to die from it was like 34. So, and we're not by any means out of the. I didn't really read into it and see if he had any pre-existing conditions or whatnot, but I did read up on asthma and what happens. It could be a potential risk, but I've already known that.
Hmm.
Fuck, I ride a motorcycle. I'm not gonna cower down because the world is coming to an end because of a little bug.
Right,
But
but it's made for some interesting television.
yeah, yeah, there's been a little bit. I haven't really.
Did you watch the Democratic primary at all?
I did not because I'm so I'm so against the whole DNC process that they're doing right now. All of it seems fucking shady, and it's just there's no way I'm voting for Biden. There's no fucking way. Uh, I'm not going to vote for Trump either. So I'm basically my hands are tied just like they were last time.
Well, I mean, we live in Oregon.
Yeah.
The presidential race is locked up before our votes get counted.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Our votes don't count.
But it, I don't even know why there's primaries going on. I haven't figured that out. It's pretty one sided.
Well, I mean, uh,
Is there even a mathematical chance
I
that
I don't
Sanders
know.
can get the nominee?
He's like 200. He's like 200 delegates behind Biden. Biden's got 1,100 and some, and he's got almost 900.
Okay.
So no, it's a little over 200. So yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not looking good for Bernie. He's not going to be back next year. Tulsi Gabbard pulled out of the race, and she endorsed Biden, which I liked her until then.
Well, I mean, what are their options
What's that?
to put Sanders to back Sanders?
Well, they wouldn't, because he's not what he's not corporatist.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't mind the federal government taking control of corporations,
Well, no.
private corporation. I guess corporations aren't private, but
Right. He's pro government, pro extra government, pro government control.
gosh,
What
did you hear what he's proposing?
what's that?
If if you're a corporation and you need to take a loan from the federal government to cut payroll checks while all of this is going on,
Hmm.
you basically essentially are signing over part of your business to the government until the loan is paid back.
Well, that seems much more conservative than you would expect from a socialist Democrat, right?
No, not at all.
You don't
I
think
mean,
so?
I don't want
Okay, so
government. I don't want government owning,
okay. Okay,
corporations.
but if you go to the bank and you get a loan for your house, do you own your house or does the bank own your house?
Oh, the investors own your
The bank
house.
owns your fucking house. Yes. So if you're a company and you have to go to the government for money, I think it stands to figure that the government can be a lien holder on
The
that.
problem is the government is the one telling businesses to shut down or advising businesses to shut down.
Well,
So, I
and
mean,
I'll blame that.
is
I'll,
there not a bit of a
I'll,
conflict of interest here
I'll blame
maybe?
that on the fucking. I'll blame that on the Democrats and the Republicans because we don't have a good infrastructure. We don't have a good supply chain for shit like that. For a situation like this, and we've had a number of these like scares in the last what 20 years, right? There's been SARS, Ebola, swine flu, all of these things that have come down the line in the last 2 decades,
Mhm.
and we still don't have a supply chain for the shit that they need for this stuff. We don't have a medical system that can handle it,
No,
right?
we don't have a hospital bed for every potential victim or
Well, not even for the potential high risk victims, right? So let's say I get this disease, I get this fucking virus, and it causes fibrosis in my lungs, and I have to go to the hospital. Depending on when I go, I may or may not have an option to be seen. I mean, I may be triaged out the fucking door. So, I mean, we're not
well,
set up to take care of people in this country.
we are providing that there's not a national emergency.
Right, right.
And how, I mean, most hospitals in this
Well, and
country
that's
or all hospitals in this country are privately owned corporations. So what are we suggesting they do? Order a bunch of stuff that they don't need
not all
because
hospitals are privately owned corporations. A lot of them are. They should have a good supply chain to consider a real fucking pandemic. I've done enough research, not a ton, about viruses and stuff like that, but like some people were complaining, well, coronavirus was already known. Why haven't we done something about this? Well, we did know about it, but for the most part, coronavirus has stayed in animals, but they evolve pretty quickly, and it's just at any given amount of time they can fucking jump into humans and cause problems there. It's like
Mhm.
fucking mad cow disease, right?
Right, right. That's how well, that's how the zombies started in Zombieland. Remember mad cow
Was it mad
disease?
cow disease? I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was, but
It would be hard to remember. It was like two little lines about it, and
yeah.
that was it.
Oh, and it was probably Michael
Jesse.
Sarah.
No, Jesse Eisenberg said it, delivered the line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I love that movie though. It's one of my favorite
I
zombie
got
movies by all
two
time.
also.
I did I watch that one yet?
I have the digital copy, so it's of no help for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if I watched it or not. Seems like I was going to, but I might not have.
It's
I
a
don't
good
think I
one.
have seen it. Is
I've
it
seen it
good?
in the theater.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I made the wife take me. She hated it,
Did she?
but sometimes I get to pick.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's good. It's good. It's good you get to pick sometimes.
sometimes. Yeah.
Uh, but
No,
yeah,
I just
we're not set up. I mean, we're not set up with an infrastructure to handle an epidemic. So do we try to triage the situation? Do we try to minimize the loss of life in it, or do we just fucking power through and see you on the other side? I'm good with either personally, but I mean, we're not set up for it.
no, and I don't know that we can prepare for every foreseeable circumstance. I just don't know that we can, or I mean,
No,
at some point, you can only have so many, defibrillators on hand
it's ventilators is the
or
problem.
ventilators in
Yeah.
this case, but you can only have so many pieces of a piece of equipment on
Yeah.
hand
But
before.
they don't even have supply line like fucking gloves, just basic medical protective equipment, right?
I know that there's definitely a mask shortage,
Mm-hmm.
so
Masks, from what I've heard, gloves. I think those are the two. Maybe needles.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure even like the ventilator equipment. Even if the ventilator's open, do they have enough equipment to turn it over and help the next person, or no?
I don't know.
No. So what do you do? Do you do that? Goes back to the question: what does the government do? Do they just step back and say, "Well, I guess we'll find out how many people die. We'll let the hospitals handle it and go on about our business," or do they try to mitigate the loss of life?
Well, I think if the government has access to equipment,
Mhm.
maybe they should provide that
Which
to.
they're attempting to do. I mean, obviously, we have many veterans hospitals and stuff like that do have access. They are government owned. They're military owned. They're
But
able
other
to
than that,
be.
I think they need to stay out of it.
Huh?
I mean, if let's take the local hospital here,
Mhm.
Good Sam.
Sure.
If they petition to the CDC or something, hey, we need more of this, and the federal government can assist, then they should. But outside of that, I mean,
You just let it happen.
healthcare is private.
You let
You
it.
know,
Well, it's not anymore. Not that it necessarily ever was, but I I don't know. I, I know that one of my gripes with Obamacare and that whole situation was that it did nothing. It only did things for the insurance companies. It did nothing for the private healthcare givers, right? Um, it didn't increase the amount of healthcare professionals there are out there, right? We
no,
don't have.
it might have decreased as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
because there's a much lower bar that they can do, and they've got to rack up what hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans if they're not independently wealthy already, or they have to take certain positions in government jobs that they make less money at to get those loans forgiven after what, like 10 or 25 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, I mean, it did nothing to increase the amount of healthcare providers in this country. It didn't it all it did was fucking add extra money in the insurance companies pockets because my plan costs went up significantly. They like doubled or tripled. And
Your premium or
yeah,
just deductible?
my premiums went up what in from the time Obama, I changed jobs a couple times in there, but from the time Obama took over, I'm gonna see when he was okay. So 2006. Let's look at 2006
Mm-hmm.
because I had a certain job at that point in time. I spent I think $100 a week, so like $89 a week for medical and dental. I had a $500 deductible on my dental, and I had a $1,000 deductible on my medical. Fast forward, 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
I'm paying $500 a month for insurance, and I have a $5,000 deductible and a maximum of 15,000 for my family. So I didn't benefit from it at all.
Yeah.
Insurance companies got more revenue, considerably more, and they were more capable of you know they were more controlled in how they could cover things. They could reduce the amount of coverage that a doctor would get paid. They could reduce the amount of coverage that they would do for certain ailments.
Right.
So it did nothing for the medical system.
No.
The pharmaceutical industry did great things for the and the insurance companies. Those two definitely benefited. But
Yeah, I wasn't a fan, obviously.
yeah, I'm not opposed to universal health care. I'm not opposed to the idea, but it has to be structured in a way that, first of all, you can get more medical professionals. You know, if everybody's going to have to pay, if everybody's going to pay a tax, that tax should go to training more people, to creating more jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Creating lower debt on the factor of the medical professionals, because we're going to need
All
more,
right. So
right?
that tax could be instantly parlayed into grants.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
But
Sorry, I'm kind of parched.
that's all right. Yeah, I'm just, there's no way to, at this point in time, this is all they can do to slow the loss of life, which the nihilist in me says, fuck it, let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
um but that also means that you got to deal with the loss of life, even if that means mine.
I don't think the world's ready to lose you yet, Tom.
Yeah, I've done a lot of things, man. I've made some money. I've fucked all the holes. I've honestly, I'm kind of out of shit. I mean, I'm okay with that. I'm
Jeez.
I'm okay with going. If I die now, I don't think I died too young.
No?
No, no. I would like to stick around
You're
for,
what?
4 more years.
41?
42. I would like to be around for 4 more years at least, till my daughter's of age, and
Graduates?
yeah, she doesn't have to. Hopefully, doesn't have to listen to her mom all the time. I'm good after 4 years. If I make it to 46, I'll be okay. I mean, everything after that is fucking good.
Yeah.
No, fucking the market's tanked. Not going to be able to sell my house anytime soon.
Has the housing market tanked?
For right now, I'm sure it's slowed considerably.
Hmm.
I don't know how long it'll last. I mean, some people say 6 weeks, some people say 6 months, some people say 18 months.
You know what? I personally would be okay with the stock market staying where it is, or tanking more
Yeah,
for a little bit longer.
yeah. As
I
long
mean,
as it rebounds.
it's a great
But
buy.
I mean, so presidentially, let's face it. We've got 4 more years of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's good. Maybe his bullshit comes apart, which I'm still inclined to think that his bullshit comes apart at some point in time.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, all right. You believe everything that he says.
No, I don't believe everything he says. Like, do I think he has, I don't know, the biggest rallies or the biggest gatherings? Probably not the biggest.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to politicians,
You think everything is fantastic. Just fucking fantastic. It's great. It's phenomenal. Actually, he doesn't use big words like phenomenal. It's fantastic.
pre the China virus, yeah, dude, things were going pretty good.
China virus.
It's from China.
Oh. All right.
I didn't. I had nothing to complain about
Yeah.
pre this, and in no way, shape, or form do I think this is our government's fault on either side. I don't blame the Democrats for this.
Well, I think it's poor planning. I mean,
I would.
if you really want to handle pandemics, which are a real, I mean, if you listen to scientists, if you listen to people who study viruses and all that kind of shit, they've been talking about this for years.
Yeah, they're so boring when they talk.
That's not,
That's their fault. Neil
well, no.
Neil Tyson is
Oh,
not boring. Great scientist,
well,
very
he's got
entertaining.
a he's very
One.
charismatic. He's a scientist, but he's also a showman. He's also a person who likes to be in front of people, and he gets
Mm-hmm.
excited by that. Most people who want to,
I've never seen him with a boner.
most people, most people in that field of work are not interested
Right.
in interpersonal communications. That's
Right.
not what they're there for. They're really into studying these things and understanding these things, not humans, which is where like Neil deGrasse Tyson is good because he has a really good grasp on how people think
Mm-hmm.
and how people, behave, and he's really good at playing off that. So he's very charismatic. He's very interpersonal with people. And but he's also studied, astrophysics. He's studied the cosmos considerably. But yeah, most scientists aren't.
Yeah, they need to work on that.
Yeah.
And then maybe we would have seen this
Well,
coming.
it's this goes back to personality traits. People like that don't generally go into those fields.
Right.
I mean, people who are charismatic generally don't go into fields like that. People who have that kind of behavior go into sales, they go into management, they go into other fields that are much more lucrative than studying the cosmos. Which until Neil deGrasse Tyson took what he learned and spun it in a way that was palatable for the common man, nobody fucking cared about astrophysics, right?
Right.
Unless you were talking about fucking astronauts, right? You want to be able to understand how things work out there, but you had no interest in learning that shit.
No.
I mean, I had interest, I just didn't have the drive.
No, no, because giving. I mean, could you listen to Stephen Hawking for fucking more than three
No,
minutes?
no, no.
No.
Well, you wouldn't even know who Stephen Hawking's was if you didn't know who Neil deGrasse Tyson was. Just because that Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of mainstreamed astrophysics and those things. He mainstreamed the cosmos. Most people don't give much thought to what's out there. And we believe the shit that we were told. And if you're like me, we were told we had 9 planets. Now we have 8 planets and what, a dozen or more dwarf planets, 20 some maybe
I don't know.
dwarf
Something like
planets
that.
that lie out in like the
9 planets.
um
I haven't given up on Pluto.
you haven't given up on
No.
Pluto.
No.
It has an elliptical orbit.
Yeah, and who knows? Has anybody even asked how, what does Pluto think it is?
Well, I don't think Pluto is sentient. No? Do you think it's sentient? Do you think
No,
planets are
I just don't
sentient?
use college words. No, I just what does Pluto see itself as? That's all I want to know. Maybe it doesn't want to be called a dwarf.
All right, all right. That's a reasonable that's
Yeah,
a reasonable thing. He
especially
wants to be called a little planet.
just a little guy. Oh, what do people do? What do they call that?
What's that?
How they see themselves? You're very woke. You should know
What's that?
what people say when they're. Jeez, I don't know, dude. Never mind.
When they consider themselves?
Yeah,
I don't I'm
yeah,
I'm really
they're
not woke, Ernie. I'm
they're.
I'm really not. It's because I was never sleep.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I did a lot of drugs when I was younger. That's why I didn't sleep.
Yeah, you know. Um, I
Are you
don't know.
talking about gender
Yeah, yeah,
gender
yeah, yeah.
orientation
When
stuff?
they, that's
Oh,
how they.
pronoun? You want to ask what Prudo's pronoun
Sure,
is?
maybe. But more importantly, what is it? Oh, I just drew a. I've got a solid blank going. Yep.
I don't know what Pluto would call itself. Kind of, I do have this wonder if planets do have some form of like knowledge, or if it's just chance. Like, why do things evolve?
Animals?
Yeah. Is that does the planet have handle that, or is that all bacterial? Is that all like cellular?
No, I mean it. Things evolve when basically chromosomes from a mother and a father come together and they make an abnormality. And that abnormality either positively or negatively affects whatever animal it is.
Okay.
And if it positively affects, then that animal goes on and has offspring with that abnormality. And eventually, if it's a big enough of a positive, gain, then that just becomes the new norm.
Mm.
And that's how things evolve and why it's so slow. But if it negatively affects, so if that abnormality is negative, then that animal is killed and obviously doesn't reproduce.
So
So, like when polar bears became white, uh, that was abnormal, but it gave that polar bear a very distinct advantage in its climate and its environment. So he was able to go on, or she was able to go on and produce other white bears.
mm.
And then eventually, boom, polar bears are white.
Well, technically they're not white.
Whatever the fuck they are, Tom. Jesus, dude.
Mm. No, I suppose that's reasonable enough.
That's, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he,
He's a
no, I don't know.
genealogist as
I
well.
don't, yeah, I don't know.
Are you? Don't misquote people. Jesus, man.
Yeah, Jesus, man. I'll
If
just
if
stick to quoting movies.
if you're gonna come up with your own bullshit, don't try to pawn fucking don't try to pawn that off on somebody else. That would
No, dude,
own your own bullshit.
I try not to. Dude, I try to think of the most ridiculous thing ever and then be like, yeah, dude, that's what Tom said.
I probably did say it though. I do say some pretty ridiculous
Did
shit.
that sound ridiculous?
Huh? No, it
What I
didn't.
said?
I what about the need for evolution? Does that so you think that us okay, I think I know this. Do you believe in evolution of the human species,
Mm.
or how deep does your creationism go?
Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I would
I guess I would probably tend to agree with science
yeah.
more than religion when
Hmm.
it comes to creation.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, when you're thumbing through the book of Genesis, there's some gaps in the story.
Yeah.
So we have, you know, the fossil beds and things of that nature that lead you to believe that maybe a week could have been, 90 million years long. Maybe weeks were
Well,
longer back then.
do you think people used to live to be 700 or 800 years old?
I mean, I wasn't there, but no,
Right.
I don't believe it.
Do you think they just had like
I think
time off? Do you think they just didn't understand that, like their perception of time was different than ours?
most certainly,
Yeah, okay.
most certainly. I
Because
mean,
the
have you?
likelihood is 4,000 years ago, given the situation, they probably didn't live to be more than like 40 or 50 years old, right?
Right, they probably didn't live to be half our age.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, they live to be our age now. That's pretty much the lifespan, right?
Right. Right.
And
And
that
that
way was
wasn't even that long ago.
no, that was up that way up to what 150 years ago. Well, fuck, maybe less than that, really. When you think about it, probably
No,
100 years ago.
no, no.
I mean,
People were
it wasn't
living
until
pretty old through the Industrial Revolution.
it
I
wasn't
mean,
until what, like 150 years ago or less. It was post Civil War that they learned about like how like staph infections, like different
right,
infection things that work. So before that, they didn't even like clean medical instruments between patients.
right.
They didn't want to take the time. They didn't want to, things like that. So
But even going before that, I mean, if you weren't royalty in the Middle Ages, I mean, you didn't live past 30.
well, even royalty, they didn't have the medical technology. They may have had the comforts. They may have had things like cleaner water,
Hmm.
better food, which
And
would
they
have helped
weren't working
considerably.
around things that would give them staff.
Right, and they weren't as
Right.
likely to, cut themselves or anything like that. For sure, they would have a longer, but like diseases like this, there wasn't any medical knowledge of this.
No.
They still thought what 200 years ago it was spirits.
Probably.
I don't even think it was. I'm trying to remember when they first like invented the microscope, but it wasn't that long ago in real time. It was a couple hundred years ago. 4,000 years ago, did they just have like this impressive immune system? And what do you say to science that proves that can trace genealogy through DNA to like previous versions of Homo sapien, not of Homo sapiens, but hominids.
Hmm.
You know, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I know
I didn't come from a monkey.
I've read quite a bit. Uh, you didn't come from a monkey?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I've met your dad. He kind of looks like a monkey. I like your dad.
Oh boy.
I'm looking forward to poker this weekend.
Poker this weekend
Uh-huh.
has just became the most dangerous sport you can play.
Yeah, because we have to sit less than 6 feet away from
And
each
I'm going to
other.
be touching chips and
Yeah.
cards. You're going to be touching the same
Yeah.
ones. I mean, this is more dangerous than football without pads.
It's not so that's one of the things about this infection that people don't really understand. And all the hand washing and everything that you do is somewhat beneficial, but it's not going to stop it. It's not going to stop. If everybody washed their hands every day
A
or
thousand
a
times,
thousand times, it would not stop the spread
right?
of this
Because
disease
a
because
1,001 is the key number.
no, because it's an airborne disease and it stays in the air for a long fucking time.
See, I've heard the opposite.
What?
I heard that it falls out of the air and then will live on surfaces
That's
for.
usually what it is for diseases, but this one will stay suspended in air in like sneeze vapor, like the finest sneeze vapor that you might do, and it'll stay in the air for a considerable amount of time and still stay viable in the air.
Hmm.
So it's an airborne disease rather than what most diseases are, which are hand to mouth, hand to some sort of a mucus gland. But
Hmm.
this one stays very much in the air, and that's why it's so prolific.
Hmm.
So even washing your hands, I mean, it helps. There's no doubt about that, but it's not going to stop the spread of this thing.
Right.
And that's I have read quite a few things on it. I was kind of impressed to find out how long it stays like in the air.
Hmm.
I don't know what about it makes it hang around so long. If it's so prolific that there's so much in what you cough or what you sneeze that it's just out there.
I don't know. I think poker this weekend.
I'm good for
It's going to be
poker.
good.
I'm okay with it. I'm not one who scares easily. So
No,
I'm
and yeah, you're probably the one that if caught If
Well,
you
me and your
caught
dad
something,
for sure. Your
uh,
dad being a smoker and having diabetes definitely is those are both two major risk factors.
yeah,
My asthma, that'll be a risk factor as well.
I'll tell you this: if Dad dies and leaves Mom for Jeff and I to take care of, I'm moving to Alaska.
Yeah, Bunny's Bunny's best friend lives in Alaska on one of the little islands, and I guess they have like two ventilators in this little town. It's a small town. It's a small town
Hmm.
of a couple thousand, but if three people get it and have severe symptoms in this town of that, that may be how it works.
Hey, let me hit that ventilator, bud. That's not good.
They're gonna need a ventilator hookah. Just
Yeah,
just a bunch of little hoses to the same ventilator.
I like it, dude.
Just turn that motherfucker all the way up. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm totally down for poker. I'm not scared. I mean, any more than
I
mm,
also not worried, but anyway,
uh,
what else did you want to talk about?
well, let's talk about your piece. Let's talk about your gun.
Oh,
The
dude,
gun you
grab it.
brought in. All right. Okay. I'll pull it out and.
Oh,
Sh-
nice.
well,
Naughty, naughty.
I am.
So it's got a paddle, yeah. And then the bolt is already locked in the back position.
Good man. Good man. Ernie knows how I like my guns. Big
Mm-hmm.
and empty.
Really? So, when shooting
Okay.
over at some point this last week,
Mm-hmm.
um, man, had a great time.
Right.
Shot the new PTR that I picked up from a local shop out of the Salem area.
Okay. What's a PTR? Oh.
PTR is the manufacturer
Okay.
of the PTR 9CT.
Okay.
It's a well, I was almost said obviously, but it may not be obvious to everybody. It's a MP5 clone.
Okay.
Uh, I think anyone my age
Ooh, you got the.
that is really into guns
Mm-hmm.
has wanted an MP5. Um,
Gotta put my wrist brace back.
yeah.
Ah.
So
And you got
once
the riser
you
on there, so you can actually, when the bolt's down, you can use the dual sights.
yeah,
if
go
you
ahead
need
and
to.
feel free.
Is this a flip up? Ah.
No, it's a they call it a diopter rear sight.
Okay. How does it work?
Well, it's a
Oh,
it's
I
a
see.
drum, as you can see, and that
Okay.
drum has 4 different hole sizes
4 different distances.
or aperture sizes.
Okay.
So that you can use them to finer tune your shot.
Okay.
Smaller hole, slower target acquisition, but more accurate placement.
Sure.
Um,
So it's on the largest one right now.
it is, and I don't see a lot of point when you're dealing with 9 millimeter, um, pistol rounds
Mm-hmm.
of having that tighter holes.
Yeah.
Gun talk, not female talk, but I don't see the point in the 3 smaller ones.
Okay.
Um, because obviously
Thank you, Bunny.
35, 55 yards maximum
Okay.
effective range.
So 55 yards is 175 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that would be a maximum range.
Okay.
Well, if you're engaging targets at those ranges,
Yeah.
target acquisition is probably more important than a pinpoint shot
Yeah.
placement.
150 feet is quite a ways when you
Well,
think about
no,
it.
I mean it's close enough though that even a handgun being shot toward you
Mm-hmm.
would have pretty good effect.
Yeah.
So
Well, certainly, yeah. You're still going to have plenty of velocity.
Speed is more important, I think, than accuracy at those closer ranges. So why the
Yeah,
smaller
you're
aperture?
not going to use this for sniping people.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
this is gonna be, this is a good like mid to short range gun, right?
It's when you want, when you want a pistol
Hmm.
that shoots a little bit further than a pistol.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I
It's
would
got a 12-inch barrel,
nine,
9 inch. Oh, that's right,
nine.
because the
Yeah,
the
everything
bolt's
is.
actually right up
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
That
if
is
you
a
can see,
regular. That's a
so
full
yeah,
sized MP5.
yeah. So yeah, your bolt is up here, your mag goes in here, your stuff's back here. So it's a little bit, it's definitely farther forward than, well, not really, than like a normal pistol, because a normal
It's
pistol you would be, you know, like it's definitely heavier than a normal
oh,
pistol.
absolutely,
But yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, but having that and being able to do that, yeah, no, that's cool.
It
It's a
is
nice gun.
very fun. It's a delayed roller blowback system, and the advantages of that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you you feel the recoil
Mm-hmm.
long after the the round has left the barrel because it's
Ah,
on a delayed blowback.
okay.
Um, so that increases accuracy dramatically.
How do they do that? That's back in
It's in
here?
the bolt. No,
No, it's up here.
it's up there.
Okay.
And essentially there's just two rollers on the side of the bolt that lock into place when the bolt is closed.
I'm very confused by how this gun works.
Hmm.
Because you've got the ammo back here, but the bolt. Oh, okay. I'm seeing the wrong side of it. Okay, so this bolt goes all the way up here because this is your blowback, right?
Yeah, so the bolt is
Okay.
actually by your left thumb.
Okay, so it's down here. That's just the action, right?
Yeah,
But this would be where it blows back, though, right? This
correct.
is, so it blows back here. Actually, moves most of everything forward on the gun, then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you can see this at home, I'm gonna look at the thing there. So yeah, this is your blowback tube here, right? Is that the proper term?
Oh, sure,
Something like
dude. Let's
that.
go with that.
I don't know that much about guns or anything.
I don't know the technical
But your
bullshit.
barrel's actually up in here, so you've got about a 10 inch ten
It's
inch barrel.
nine and some change.
Yeah,
So yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But this is actually what actuates the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, nice. That's cool.
So
It's interesting that there's that much blowback. There's that much gas expansion, because that's way larger than the tube on my AR.
yeah.
But the tube on the AR pushes something way the
Well,
hell
keep
back
in
here.
mind every time you shoot,
Hmm.
that lever is not moving back and forth.
Oh, it's
Only
not.
components inside. Yeah, so that'll stay stationary, which
Oh,
makes one of the downfalls to that style gun is reloads. So the proper form to
okay.
reload is, let me see that mag, bud.
Hmm.
So while you're shooting, okay, you run out.
Uh huh.
The proper way to do a mag change is lock the bolt back, drop the mag,
Oh.
stick the new mag in,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
release the bolt.
So that's a little more. Uh,
Because these mags don't like to feed on
mhm.
a closed bolt. I mean, you have to really
Really
pound
push
it
it in there.
when
Okay.
it's loaded.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was doing some experimenting, and it would load with a moderate pop,
Hmm.
27 rounds
Okay. So,
out
but
of
if
a
it was
30 round.
if it was 30 rounds, then
If it was fully loaded, it was a bear.
okay. But
It
you
was a
want that
bear.
bolt open so that first round will go up into the chamber. And
So
yeah.
yeah, that's just it. So if the proper coat of arms on it is lock the bolt back, then drop your mag, get your new one in,
Hmm.
and it'll seat perfectly then, and then
Hmm.
close the bolt.
But I mean, that makes it I guess it wouldn't be significantly longer reloads,
It sucks for reloads. I
but
mean, it just does.
yeah, it would.
And that's why that's why they're not as popular as they once were, because there's some better stuff.
Yeah. So as scary as this thing is, it would not be the best mass shooting gun.
Oh God, no.
Have a pretzel dog.
Well,
Right?
I mean, are we gonna sign off here?
Maybe soon.
Okay.
I'm sorry, they look pretty fucking good though.
Yeah. Bunny, phenomenal cook.
Hmm.
Phenomenal.
She's here today, but she is not with us back here because she has been running around and cooking all day, and she couldn't tolerate the two of us. So
No.
I get it.
So yeah, went to the range. We were with a 30 round mag. We could completely shoot out a 2-inch circle. Um, no problem.
Yeah,
Just
that's a
no problem.
25-yard.
That was at 35 yards.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So I mean, out there at that what I would consider to be the further edge of the capability of that round through that barrel. With that barrel, the most 9mm rounds are probably going to get you around 1,300 feet per second,
Okay.
1,350. So you're really winging them out there
Mm-hmm.
good. Way better than any pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean your barrel's twice as long.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it's like almost 4 times as long as my concealed, right?
oh God, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's like a 2.5 inch or 3-inch barrel.
Um, Either way,
Yeah.
it's almost 4 times.
Yeah.
You know,
It's about, well, it's a little longer than double of my full size gun.
right,
So yeah.
right. But they shoot well, and
Yeah.
like I said, if you have an itch
Mm-hmm.
for a delayed roller blowback gun,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's nothing that'll satisfy that itch other than one.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at some of the CZs, and I was looking at just any 9mm carbine
Mm-hmm.
or pistol with a brace that I
Mm-hmm.
could put my hands on, and they're like the CZ half the price.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, I could buy this, but I'm just going to be $900 poorer and still want one of these, because I mean every movie I grew up watching has been dominated by MP5s.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like if you want one, um, at the time that I bought that, H&K hadn't released a civilian pistol
Mm-hmm.
MP5. Well, they have now.
No, have they?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're about a grand more
Mm.
than you can pick up a PTR or a Zenith for.
Yeah.
And both of those PTR and Zenith are made on HK tooling.
Mm.
So
Right on.
very, very solid units.
Good. No, it's we'll have to go out shooting sometime here real soon. The weather's starting to get better.
It is.
Starting to look like.
The Suburban's getting some progress made on
Is
it,
it?
so maybe I'll have a motor before too long.
Well, that's good. Did you get through the service contract company and everything?
Not yet.
Yeah.
They authorized us to go ahead and tear the motor down to the point of failure,
Okay.
which means they didn't say no.
Well, that's good.
And not saying no is almost as good as saying yes. So I'll take that as a win for now.
Yeah, service contract companies are like any other insurance company. Fucking, they don't want to pay any more than they have to.
Right, right. I'm hoping that they see some value in maybe, paying for a claim for an employee,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they don't want to pay any more than they have to, and this
Yeah.
is not going to be a cheap motor.
Well, and so I've gone rounds with them because that's part of my recent addition to my duties at work is putting out fires with customers over in service. So
Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, sometimes you really have to fucking, I mean, I'm not dealing directly with the service contract companies, but I am like I've had to deal with some of the service writers over there and talk with them about what they need to do and how they need to present it to the service contract companies and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had a couple of good luck issues with that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've had a couple of failures with the service contract company
Yeah.
here this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah.
So we've actually had an inspector twice
Mhm.
in 1 week. And I haven't had an inspector in that department in 2.5 years. And now I've had two inspectors in 1 week.
Mm.
I haven't changed anything I've been doing.
Yeah.
So
There's
I
getting a
think
little.
they're just getting, I think they're tightening up.
Yeah.
So that'll be that though. I mean, they even sent an inspector to look at fork seals,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that the customer didn't have seal and gasket coverage. I didn't even know that the customer didn't have that because I don't know what level of contract they buy.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know. So I just called and presented the claim, and they said, "Oh, we'll have to send an inspector."
Mm.
And then they get the report back from the inspector and call and tell me the customer doesn't have coverage for these components. He
What?
would have had to have bought this
Uh,
contract, this level of contract. And I'm like, well, why'd you
you
send the
could have
inspector?
just told me that over the phone.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
send the inspector and lead me to believe that there's possibly some coverage here?
Yeah.
So that's just a total. I mean, I see that they're tightening things up. At the same time, they're stupidly wasting money, like in
Yeah.
that case, because those inspectors don't come out for free.
No, absolutely not.
So
Yeah. Well,
crazy
shit.
stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, shit. Anything else you can think of to talk about?
No, not me. I've kind of got everything that I said.
Yeah.
I just am ready for the kids to go back to school with or without coronavirus. My kids are relatively healthy,
Yeah.
so just get them back to school. You know, it costs me. I mean, it costs me a day a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in a decent situation compared to most people. Some people are really over
Yeah.
a barrel, but as it is right now, we've got a sitter 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then I take a day off, and then Amanda takes a day off every week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not horrible shape,
Yeah.
but man, I'm ready. I'm ready for the kids to go back to school.
Yeah. Well, I just got my daughter last night, so I'm good with her hanging out, and
Of course, of
I'm
course.
kind of worked out something with her mom for this time, and hopefully it doesn't bite me in the ass for summer vacation. But
Oh, she might deny that because
well,
you've got her
not
now.
deny, but if so, if they carry the 6 weeks over into or 5 weeks over into summer vacation, I'll end up losing out on like an extra week or two, something like that.
That's lame.
But yeah, I mean, it could be that she ends up being off the rest of the year, and in which case I'll get a lot more time with her. So I'm good with that. So, but all right, well, let's fucking call it. Eat some bagel dogs.
Yeah, sounds
Thank
good.
you, everybody. If you liked it, press the button, subscribe. Thanks. Say thank you. Leave us comments. I'm kind of I kind of love doing those things because even if your comments are shitty, I'll probably out shitty you.
Mm.
So I'm a bit of a troll online at times when the mood strikes me, and when people are criticizing me, I'm usually the biggest troll. So if you don't like it, leave a message because I want to hear it. Anything else, Ernie?
No,
All
I
right.
mean that about sums it up.
Goodbye, everybody.